What do you understand by the concept of individualism?
Individualism is a more philosophical idea, in my understanding. It's the view that ultimately we as human beings are individuals in the sense that our identity and our action. Now, let me do that one again. Yeah. Individualism, in my understanding, is a more philosophical idea. It's the view that societies are, in the end, composed of individuals, and individuals are the ultimate matter of human society, that each individual is in some sense complete in himself. He contains within himself all that's necessary for a fully personal existence. And this nature, this individual nature, is precisely what the state and government has to secure and to safeguard.
Thank you. What forces gave rise to the development of these ideologies?
It's a really very difficult historical question, when and how libertarianism and individualism became so prominent. Certain people argue that it was really an Enlightenment phenomenon during the late 17th and early 18th century, with the slow erosion of religious belief and people's commitment to a sort of transcendental order, that the idea of the human individual as the repository of all value and all that's worthwhile came into prominence. Others, like Marxists, for instance, argue that these particular philosophies are essentially bourgeois. What they mean by that is that they come from the new kinds of property relations that followed on the collapse of feudal society, when people thought of themselves as each man for his own in a world of pure competition and enterprise. I think all these sort of theories are probably much too simple. There's an element of individualism in the philosophy of the Greeks, in many of the philosophers of the Greeks anyway, and I think there's a tendency in all human beings to see themselves in something like this way. After all, I am an individual. I can't deny that, and I do have my own life to lead, and my rights are important to me. The only question is, to what extent can I think of myself as it were, purely the product of my own activity? To what extent I can renounce or deny my connections with others.
Thank you very much. In your opinion, what philosophical fallacies underpin the libertarian and individualist position?
I think that both positions, the libertarian and the individualist position, are both have a superficial plausibility, and there are elements of truth in them. But both of them neglect the fact that we are not born individuals, but we become individuals through a particular social process, the process of asserting ourselves in an environment of free competition. And what makes that process possible is the fact that we can trust each other, that we have relations of obligation and duty towards others, which others also have towards us. And it's there, the fact that others respect those obligations, that gives us the room, the moral space, as it were, in which to grow into individuals. But that means that in some deep sense, society and the order of society is prior to the individual. It's only because it is there that we can grow in this peculiar direction. And therefore I think that it's far from seeing society as the aggregate of individuals. One should see society as the collective entity which makes it possible for the individual to emerge. That's a very abstract way of putting it, but it's hard to put it more concretely in any simple, well, it's hard to put it more concretely. Let me do that last bit again. Yeah, let me. I will do it more concretely. Right.
Please do.
Okay.
But Martin, do you want to?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. Well, are we still on?
Yeah,
Yes.
what I just said is okay, but I'll just go on and illustrate it. Yeah.
Please do.
Okay. Let me illustrate that abstract argument a little. In the modern world, we find a lot of people who do not identify themselves in this individualistic and libertarian way, who think of themselves primarily as members of communities. This is certainly true of most Africans and also of most Arabs. They would see themselves, of course, as having individual aims and ambitions, but also as primarily owing their life and their happiness and everything that matters to them to a community of which they are a part. We Western Europeans have developed in a slightly different direction and tend to, therefore, to disregard our own need for community. But in fact, if you look at the matter, not only historically, but in the full social context, you'll see that we, just as much as the Africans and the Arabs, do require a sense of membership in an enterprise greater than ourselves. It's from that that all our values and all our rewards are derived. That we can't make our own rewards or make our own values. They are things which come to us because of our interaction with others.